Coffee is my morning one. I can't really operate without caffeine. Since becoming a dad, it's become my only recreational drug that I get now. So yeah, coffee is my drug of choice. And then in the evening, when you just need a hot drink, I don't know why I'm drinking a hot drink in the weather that we have at the moment, but it's just a habit. It's less caffeine. Still get a good sleep.
I drink like, I don't know, 200 to 600 milligrams of caffeine a day. It's really a bad addiction, I'm sure. But I'm going to let Bern actually play us in because I jumped the gun.
Yeah, I have no idea how much caffeine I drink, but I drink like 4 cups of coffee and pre-workout and do like a full dose of pre-workout. So it's like I'm on crack all day long. It's amazing.
You do pre-workout as well as caffeine?
Yeah, dude. Sometimes it'll be like coffee. As soon as that's done, pound the pre-workout, go lift, come home, and when I get home, I will I'll drink more coffee. So I'm just cranking it, man. But
yeah, well, I used to take that Jack 3D when I lived in New York. It's banned here. I don't know what they do in the States now, but do you remember that brand Jack 3D or Jack? Yep. What it was called?
Yeah, I used to take it.
That stuff is potent. Like that gives me like the skin crawls, the prickly blood cells, and yeah, you pump loads of weights, and then yeah. But I'm quite short, so I stopped doing weights. The older I'm getting, the smaller I'm getting as well, and I get quite bulky quite quickly. So yeah, my wife doesn't like me at that sort of physique. Nor do I really. I don't really look like looking like a pit bull. So
yeah, you got to do like really high volume, low weights. That's what I do. Otherwise, like I'll get a little bigger too. Definitely don't want to look like you're on steroids, like OG or someone like that. Let me I'll play us in and then we'll get started.
Let's go.
We can talk during the song. He doesn't have lyrics yet.
No, I just want to stare at you.
Comment, retweet, join the YouTube. I commented it on the spaces, so you can you join the YouTube and then you can subscribe.
Yeah, just everybody here, Nick, Yemi, man, I see you joined from the Remo community. Just give it a comment on the page, give it a like and a retweet, and hopefully we can have a nice little pre-party. Well, it's actually the launch party because it's minting right now. We're 4 minutes into mint, so yeah, that's quite cool.
What? We are live minting this on the spaces. Very cool.
Wait,
Yeah, we're doing a live mint right now, and then I'm rolling straight into the launch party. And then tomorrow we're doing a 7-hour reveal party with music and my guys from across the pond and Web3. Yeah, so we're doing it. It's bringing some life back into the ETH space and the Web3 space. I think I'm sick of all this FUD on the timeline, and yeah, it's getting a bit much. So I just want to breathe some life and bring back that wag me attitude that we're missing.
Can I mint it right now?
The timing
is actually only for the Voyager list at the moment.
Joey, I feel like I should be on the Voyager list, dude. No, I'm just kidding.
we bumped into each other too late. I'm a man of my word, and I've purposely not over allocated it, because when you say it's guaranteed and it's not, I think for any project founder to start off on the wrong foot is not a great way to start your career as a founder. So, you know, chances of it minting out on the Voyager list in 30 minutes is pretty unlikely. So then it goes to first come, first serve list, which is over allocated, and then it goes to public. But worst case, we've got, you know, you guys run a regular radio show, and I'm sure if I can come up and speak with you guys, that earns you a nice little airdrop out of our project wallet. So don't worry about that. We've got you covered.
What? Dude, you didn't have to do that, but I'm not going to say no.
No, I know, but you know, you guys run regular spaces. We had a nice chat last week on, you know, potentially having a new radio show. Or whatever. So, you know, there's definitely ways we can help work it. And, you know, I'm here to network and build connections. And if that means dropping some of my artwork to other builders in the space, then, you know, it's no cost for me then.
Dude, you're a legend. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you very much. So I guess let's not hold up anything, and let's get right into it. Can you give us kind of your background and then kind of dive into the top level details of the project since it's minting at the moment?
Yeah, so my name's Joey Tadiar. I'm a London-based artist. I'm actually an oil painter by trade. I actually have an in real life agency as well that we've specialized in Web3 creative consultancy. I noticed there was a lot of tech companies popping up, but not a lot of creative. There was lots of marketing, lots of tech, and not a lot of creative agencies. So I sort of fused my love for digital art and art in general and just creative content and my ability to create content with my team. And we work with brands sort of entering the Web3 space. The biggest one to date was Warner Records and Bose. We launched their Stickman Toys project, which was a 5,000 piece audio visual generative collection in 2022. So yeah, that's our sort of biggest accolade, working with those two. And then after that, I wanted to sort of launch my own project. So I developed my character Remo over the period of around 8 weeks. And after having my little boy, it sort of reignited this. You know, I don't know if anybody is parents here, but it definitely reignites this need to be young for your child as well. And I really wanted to create a character that my little boy could walk into the Disney store one day and say, wow, my dad created that, you know, to his friends. So that was the inspiration of bringing my big kid ideas to life. So then that Remo was born. I then started dropping one-of-ones and small collections on Nifty Gateway. Collectors from that then sort of pushed me into wanting to do an ETH collection or encouraged me to do an ETH collection. So that all those guys got early sort of, you know, mint list to get my ETH collection. Then ordinals came about and I started getting into ordinals, researching them around 8 weeks ago. And then I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to do it. No real set purpose. The utility for me is always the art. So I wanted to get the inscription numbers under 10 million. So I inscribed 50 one-of-one ordinals and got onto the Magic Eden launchpad. So I'm launching on the ETH collection on OpenSea, which is today, and then Magic Eden on Friday. So yeah, two collections, two platforms, two separate chains, one man.
Dude, that is that's awesome. I definitely can relate with the kids and the toys thing. I actually got a Pudgy toy, just like as a collector thing. It's in the box, and my kids want it. That's one of the struggles. Like, like if you collect something, the kids want to play with it. I'm like, no, that's mine. You can't open it or play with it. But
Yeah, impressive. I like the two-chain approach. I guess I've kind of been part of a counterculture movement, not really understanding ordinals or why you would build on Bitcoin. I think it's fine as the financial currency that it's become, but I do know that it's a lot of work. So I applaud you for the work. And as far as the actual like physicals and toys, I kind of postured. I think that over the weekend, like are physicals really like how the future to mass adoption of kind of the IP that is being created in Web3? Because I was at Macy's and my son wanted to run into Toys R Us. He's 3 years old. Um, and funny enough, he ended up where the V Friends toys were at, and they were like 50% off. And I was like, well, maybe the toy market is taking a hit, collectible toy market taking a hit, just like the Web3 market. But they are nice to play with, right? My son was like really super excited about the IP itself, which I think is kind of important. I know that toys is just the vehicle in one aspect of the art, but they at the end of the day they're also toys, and I like to see my son.
I think the main difference between sort of myself and characters like Luca Netz and Gary Vee is that they've gone for mass production. You know, they've got produced in China, packaged in China, sent to the UK, fulfillment by Amazon, and it's a mass produced brand, which is incredible. I think the scaling of the brand is amazing. They've got another revenue stream. For me, I'm an artist, you know, and my artwork comes first, and I want an element of scarcity to this, which is why holders won't have IP rights to this brand. They won't have IP rights to the character. They're invested in me as an artist. The supplier's only 500, and I continue to be a small collection. There's no plans to have this isn't like a Genesis drop and a PFP collection that then grows into this. This is using my digital artwork as a vehicle to create a really familial community of art collectors. I got asked a question yesterday in a Spaces where they asked how many of my in real life collectors have been coming to Web3, and the answer was 0. Because my mission is to get my Web3 collectors collecting real art. It's not necessarily toys. These are going to be printed in my studio. I 3D print them in my studio one at a time. I then hand sand them. I then use different techniques of spray paint, airbrush, markers, whatever I'm feeling at the time, to have sort of like a really cool street art toy to sit on an adult's desk. These are toys for big kids. Eventually, we'll then use the IP to go into an illustrated ebook for children, where I want to tell stories through my character Remo. And then eventually onto creating plushies, which will then be mass produced for children. So I'm attacking the art market first, and then the scaling growth over the next 24 months will be to go into plushies and stuff.
Yeah, man, I think that's really, really smart. I think that, one of the things I like for a smaller artist in this aspect is to retain those IP rights and not make it CCO. And the fact that you're like hand making every single one of them is what makes that an adult toy, and definitely differentiates you from everybody else who's mass producing stuff.
You said adult toy. I'm sorry.
Burn.
I spent too much time in the dive bar. I'm sorry, guys.
No, you're good, man. You're in adult company. We can do that. There's no kids in here, I hope.
No.
But yeah, I think going down the cause, Bear Brick, I mean, even to them, that they did their thing. They started off sort of a small collection and quite scarce, and now they're just produced everywhere. You can walk into a shop in Dubai and you've got tons of different colors and patterns, and I'm not digging that. I would love to be in that position, where my own that sort of produced toy, but it's not going to come in paper packaging with little accessories and stuff that is aimed at, Pudgy Penguins. It is aimed at children. It's not an adult's toy. Adult toy. So yeah, I think what I'm trying to do is create an art collective where people are actually, the utility is art. It's not just a PFP. I'm actually giving these guys a free digital piece of artwork with a free Remo toy every month that they can mint. They'll then be able to connect their wallet to the website and see their virtual toy shelf with all their different months of the Remos that they've collected over the time being a holder. And then in August, all of the virtual pets that they're minting today will then turn into a one-of-one Remo toy. So only they will have that in their wallet, which we're working on at the moment. So there's going to be 500 one-of-ones that they can use as their PFP as well.
So whoever's holding, you'll do a snapshot at some point, and they get the physical as well.
So if today there's there's basically 5 black virtual pets. They're guaranteed a Remo toy that's hand signed, it's spray painted and marked up and put in a nice box and shipped to their door. That will be in the next 4 weeks. And then the snapshot will just be whoever's a holder is going to get their one-of-one Remo toy in a digital form. And then in November that we're opening the Remo toy store where people can then choose to purchase the toy. The mint price isn't enough to cover the cost of everybody having a physical toy as well. I think that will be it's quite a fair mint price. Unlike Antonym, I don't know if you remember that project, they were like 0.4 to mint and everybody got a toy and not everybody received it. I don't really want to fall into that sort of miscommunication with my community, that they'll be able to get their hands on a toy, but it will be paid for, but at a really reasonable price. They'll basically pay for the cost of shipping, cost of manufacturing, and a small part for labor, the 4 or 5 hours I spend customizing it.
Yeah, you should definitely get paid on it. But yeah, I mean, personally, I love collecting physical art as well. I've got this Die with the Most Likes behind me, commissioned that, and I'm trying to add more because I like to hang shit on my walls and put shit on my desk. Like, that's why I got a Pudgy. But I think that what you're making is not to knock Pudgies at all, but it's so much cooler because you're like hand making it and it's like actual art, right? Rather than just a toy.
Yeah, it's also oil paintings as well. So that, like I said, my journey as an artist began in school. I was sketching. You know, I think you're born an artist. I don't think you can just practice and make yourself an artist, despite what we see in Web3. So I've always sort of come back to art, and then it's like get a real job, and then come back to art, and then Web3 came about, where it's like, wow, now I can actually find a community and talk to them every day. So I'm quite active in Discord and making friends with my collectors, and that's always been the dream, you know, to share my journey as an artist with collectors. If you sell a painting in a gallery, sometimes it's just an anonymous buyer and you don't know who it is. You never have a connection with them, and you know there's somebody on this planet who's got your artwork hanging on their wall, and you never know who it is, which is quite nice for the mystery as well. So as a holder, you're also going to get entered into a monthly raffle to win my paintings as well. Works on paper, sketchbooks, you know, just pieces of artwork and collectibles, physical collectibles that money won't be able to buy. They're stuff that I work on, and you know, my paintings and you know, the sketchbook that's sitting next to me, along with the pencil that I originally designed Remo with. It's all these sorts of things that you won't be able to buy on the blockchain, but you know, if you're a holder, you'll be able to receive them. And I use my digital art as a vehicle to give that and share that with my community.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful way to make sure that the community you build is about the art, right? Like so much criticism about the Web3 space is people come for the money. A lot of people that have stayed during this bear, it's been for the art or for the communities that are built. But your initiative to use Web3 to funnel it back to your physical artwork, I think is really cool because it means the people that that really appreciate you for the art that you're creating are the ones that are going to stick around and participate in your ecosystem, both in Web3 and with your in real life art, which I think is really interesting. And I think it's cool because I haven't heard a lot of artists talk about using Web3 as a funnel back to what they have originally done, which is like IRL art and not tokenized.
Yeah, like for me, like the onboarding as for an artist has to happen in reverse. They have to, you know, I would never convince one of my friends who's an artist to come into the space, especially at the moment. You have to be really thick-skinned, and it's a challenge, you know. Some people just, a lot of my artist friends, they're introverts and they won't want to communicate on Discord and stuff. But what I wanted to do was use myself as a use case to say this is the things you can do. You know, this is just one use case of using Web3. There's no real reason for an artist to come into Web3. You know, I think now projects have to launch with a real reason and as much as I don't like the word, utility, and give people the benefits of being a holder. You know, they could purchase one of my screen prints, or you know, in a shop for $140, and they won't ever get asked for any more benefits or rewards or perks. But when you have an NFT, you automatically have this you know, prerequisite. You have to supply more to your holders, and I think that's what the demand is put on founders to. Wow, now we actually have to deliver something, and that was never in their intentions to do that. Their intention was to come to the space, suck liquidity out, and then try and build with whatever experience they have. Usually it's a lack thereof of experience in community building and providing products. Whereas I've got quite a lot of experience in building e-commerce, running communities. You know, I had a viral meme page from 2015 up until 2021 when Instagram cancelled me for the content I was putting out. But you know, I had 1.4 million followers at one point, and sending e-commerce. You know, my e-commerce store was generating 30 to 40 grand a month. You know, so I've got the skills to be able to deliver to my community, albeit it's only 500, but those 500 people are going to be really happy with what they get for their investment of $150.
I love the low supply, man. I mean, I think 500 is a great number. And that, just looking at the art, like for the NFT portion of it, I've got your video on your Twitter pulled up right now, sharing on the screen. What is your process for making the NFT side of it?
The process, as in, how do I create them? Or?
How do you create the art? I don't know anything about like 3D art, so.
So I actually started learning Blender at the start of lockdown. Those 2 years that have sort of gone into the abyss of our lives that we forgot about. But I thought I'm either going to let this was before I had a of the house all day. So I thought I'd teach myself something new. So I just sort of learned this blender guru where he teaches you how to make a donut, and then one thing led to another. I'm quite a perfectionist / OCD when it comes to learning. I won't put it down until I've learned how to do it. So yeah, and then I just every day plugged in. And I think, you know, a lot of the time, if you practice something for 1 hour a day, then you've put 365 hours into that craft, you know what I mean? And my goal was to put at least 1 or 2 hours in every single day, which I did. And then sort of started sketching on my iPad, and then importing my sketches, and then just challenging myself. Can I make that in 3D? Can I make a Heinz ketchup in 3D? Can I, you know, and then the shapes got more and more complex. And then I was like, wow, I want to develop this character, which is super simple to now to model. But at the time I would have been like, I'm never going to be able to model that. So yeah, it was just a learning process, really, getting YouTube tutorials. And then I learned how to, like, you know, export the alien as an OBJ file onto my iPad, and then Procreate now allows you to paint 3D models. So I started doing like cool street art designs, which I put on Nifty Gateway. They sold out. I had a really, you know, quite, you know, I think made like 17K revenue, which is incredible as a digital artist, you know, just new to Nifty Gateway. But yeah, the process is the character's there now, and now I sort of look through my favorite, you know, like Kith lookbooks and Palace lookbooks and Supreme lookbooks, and I'm a big fan of street fashion and fashion in general. So I wanted to have a bucket hat, I wanted to have puffer jackets and gold chains, and, you know, represent my love for fashion as well through this character. So yeah, they're going to be, I mean, hardly any of the looks and have been revealed. I'm trying to sell this project on bare minimum to give maximum impact when it is revealed.
Love it, man. Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at these, and like, they're super super detailed. They look clean. I like them. Are you worried at all about the layering? Like, is the layering going to work out? Because I'd imagine that'd be super hard on a 3D collection like this. Like, I remember, I think it was the Hapes where there was like ears sticking out of the head.
These aren't generative. I'm not a generative fan. These are all individually rendered, one by one.
Wow.
Yeah, so you won't ever have, you know, because if the floor's pink on one of them and he's wearing a white hat, underneath the hat there's going to be a pink reflection, right? But if you have that same hat as a layer with a pink floor and with a blue floor, you're going to have a pink reflection on the hat. So it's working out all those kinks. I was like, I'm not a fan of generative art anyway. I find it quite a shortcut into creating an unnecessarily large collection. I'm not a fan of, you know, 5,000-10,000 projects. I don't really feel a need for it unless you are trying to build a community and brand around that, you know, that. But, you know, individually rendering 500 is time consuming. It does take long, but, you know, I'm trying to get through, I think, like 12 to 16 per day. And then obviously I have to take each one of those into Photoshop, color correct and add contrast, saturation, then re-export that as a PNG, then put it into the right folder. And then obviously all the metadata that comes with that. So I have to make a metadata file with the traits and stuff for each one of them. So that's my process over the next 2 months. And then when it reveals, everybody's going to see their one of one. This is individually rendered piece of artwork, not a generative.
So yeah, I think going for quality here, and doing them each individual renders is dynamite, right? It definitely shows from a quality perspective, and your proclivity to like fashion and what's out there definitely comes through from a creative perspective on the accessories. So I really dig that. But I think something that you said is really important is like, you're minting today, but reveal sounds like it's going to be a couple months out in the future. Is that right? Do you have a reveal date in mind?
So what people are buying today, I don't know if you've seen the collection at the moment, but they're actually minting a sealed Tamagotchi box. So I've based it comes in stages, right? So the pre-reveal artwork is based on the Tamagotchi. And I chose the Tamagotchi because that was my all-time, apart from my Game Boy Color, I didn't want to rip into Game Boy too much. And I think the Tamagotchi, I definitely had sort of more of an affiliation to that So I wanted to go the Tamagotchi route. And then today they'll be minting the pre-reveal artwork, which is the Tamagotchi box. And then what it done is do it in stages. So reveal will be in 24 hours. They'll then see which color virtual pet comes out of that box. So they've minted a virtual pet sealed box. Tomorrow will be their virtual pet color. So you've got purple, orange, or black. Purple obviously gives you all of the perks of, you get the 1 of 1 PFP, you get entered into a monthly raffle for the physical toy and physical artwork. Orange will give you automatic orange list for the BTC drop on Friday, plus everything that purple offers you. And then the black one, there's 5 of those. They'll be giving you the physical toy guaranteed, signed and sealed, delivered to your door. So there's 3 stages. There's the box, the virtual pet, and then the virtual pet will turn into the 1 of 1 PFP. So there's 2 reveal stages.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, I love it. I love the Tamagotchi art on on the boxes or the keychains or whatever. Those are sweet, man. And definitely like how
I kind of want to. I kind of don't want to reveal. I'm digging the. I love the box, but the Tamagotchis are quite cool. It's based sort of like for like on the actual Tamagotchi, and then yeah, I'm excited to see what people think. But it is a long reveal to get to the PFP stage. But like I said, I put out a tweet the other day, like I never intended for this to be a PFP collection. But I sort of started experimenting, and Remo looks fucking dope as a PFP as well, because especially there's 500 1 of 1 PFPs as well, so it's quite a scarce sort of commodity to have. So I built a PFP cropper where people can either choose to have their full body, and if they want to use it as their Twitter PFP, they can put him in the cropper on, after they connect their wallet, they can select which Remo they want as their PFP, and then have it turn into a crop PFP where it shows his head and shoulders. So yeah, it's quite cool. But yeah, it's going to be a long process, but I think I've curated the Voyager list enough for the people that I know that are minting. They're going to be holders. So yeah, it's going to be quite tough to get one of these, I think, on secondary.
Yeah, your community seems very, I guess, active. I put out a tweet scheduling the space, and people are jumping all over it, and just looking at the Twitter and everything. And in this bear market, that's really impressive. So I think you are going to have a strong group of holders. And I think a lot of that comes from the fact that they're all like 1 of 1 art pieces that you made. They're not generative, and they're super cool. So I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy that it's going to be a smaller 1 of 1 kind of profile picture collection. I don't think out in this space, I think like there are a couple of examples where projects did that first and then they launch a bigger collection. But I'm definitely digging the quality and the low mint number, and even the rollout. Like I think that the timeline associated with it really gives your chance for the community to weed itself down to the people who truly believe in what you're doing. And I think that ultimately is what you talked about at the beginning of the space, which is, building a strong community that appreciates you for the art, and being able to kind of curate that ecosystem going forward into, the saying is you only need like 1,000 good collectors or something like that to make an artist's career. So I think this is a great way to kind of build a solid collector base in Web3, bring some of those over to your in real life arena as well, to add to the collectors you obviously have IRL. So yeah, I think this project is really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, and yeah, just going on your point, it's 100 true collectors. So I thought, that's nice if you're selling art regularly to them. But obviously on this project, we get 1 mint. Like I said, I'm not doing this project for the liquidity. I have my creative agency where I get, I work with my clients. I've got nice work sort of coming in from that. I'm working with a really, really cool brand at the moment. I see them in the audience supporting me here, and I'm working with those guys on their creative, and they're developing their project is the only project in this space that is giving me faith that this space has a future for tech. Working with guys like that and sharing my creative knowledge and being not only their consultant and creative, content creator, they're actually onboarding me as their creative director for this. So, I've got you know, for most people there's 24 hours in the day, but I like to give myself 28 hours, and I think that you know, working every ounce of time I can, that's how I sort of, you know, pay for my family and feed the dog and put dinner on the table. You know, this project wasn't for me to have liquidity, and you know, the money that this project makes is just going to go into scaling it as a brand and IP.
Dude, this one that looks like it's got lava on it or something. It's like got an orange sweater. I'm just looking through.
Yeah, that's
fucking sick, dude.
My favorite is one of the BTC ones. They're all they're all one of ones on the BTC. And I actually inscribed them at the highest quality possible. So they're around 400 kilobytes, which cost around $55 to $60 each to inscribe. So it cost me just under $3,000 to inscribe them. But you know, the 3D artwork that's on Bitcoin at the moment, if you go into Magic Eden, it will show you the 4K image. But then if you look on it on ordinals.com, it's like a pixelated, grainy sort of 2002 PlayStation graphics look. And I really didn't want that. You know, for me, it's like I want my buyer to get exactly what they're being shown, or as close to as possible. So I've asked Magic Eden not to put 4K images out, and you know, this will be the images what you're buying, and they're pretty much the highest res, other than the on-chain monkeys, which, you know, I wish I knew about that tech before spending $3,000 inscribing. But you know, I'm just an artist trying to leave a mark on the chain. So I'm hoping that the Bitcoin ones are well appreciated as well.
Yeah, I think there will be. There's a lot of hype in the market for ordinals at the moment, and especially with you differentiating yourself with high quality images, actually being on chain. I think that's really cool. And I as Burn scrolls through your Twitter, it's very apparent that you have kind of a really solid marketing background, because all of these videos and images are incredible. And I think that you said earlier that you kind of are not promoting it a lot because you wanted kind of organic growth out of your community. But I think that once this mint gets out and reveals start happening, people are really going to appreciate kind of the entirety of what you've been working on, because it's really beautifully presented.
Yeah, dude. And your engagement on these tweets, holy shit. Like you're getting great engagement as well.
Yeah, I try to limit collabs as much as possible. One, because you know, you do a collab, the people following you are only following you to hopefully win whitelist. There's no meaning there, and like, you know, if I'm to build meaning between myself and my followers, you know, I'd rather have 10 likes from people who really care about me and my message than, you know, 100 likes because somebody says engage on this tweet. You know, we've run competitions, but they're, you know, the competitions are just a necessity in this. But the difference between my competitions and other people's is there's actually a prize on the end of mine. I promise you that. You know, I gave away $150 of my own money the other day in different spaces, and airdrops of NFTs. And you know, what I don't like is those sort of magazine competitions where it's like, win this $3.5 million house in Fort Lauderdale, but there's no $3.5 million house. You just, you know, you're buying a lottery ticket. And now it's gotten to people, you know, the grifters in the space sort of charging people to come on the alpha bot and subscribe, and then you get to enter into every alpha bot. But then you're just turning people into these gambling addicts who are paying you $30 a month to potentially get on a whitelist, to potentially be able to mint this project that's potentially going to go to zero. And I'm just not about that. I really don't care about, you know, what other people do. That's their choice. But me personally, I want to build really organic community and make a difference in the space.
Yeah, those people are looking to dump for sure. Like when you do the raffles, like the retweet, tag 3 friends, like
I think it speaks to going back to the fact that each one of these are individually rendered. Each one of these are personal to you. They're you know, they're your art. They're not generative. You didn't just press a button and apply layers. And so you want them to end up in really good hands that have the right motivation to hold them. So yeah, all those gimmicks, you know, they work when you're trying to sell something like a 10,000 collection, but not definitely, I don't think, are needed when you're looking to actually get one-of-one art into true collectors' hands.
To an extent, they'll actually be personal to the person who's holding it as well. So we're going to be having creative sessions in the holders Discord chat where, you know, we'll be going in, you know, I'll be on the stage, people can come up. We're then going to show them, I'm going to show them an inventory of sort of accessories and stuff that you know, the base model. So they've got the bucket hat, got the beanie, got the puffer jacket, got the sleeveless puffer jacket, got a t-shirt, you know, knitted hoodie, whatever. And they can select their colors. So they can select the soles of the feet, they can select the color of the eyes. So there will be an element of personalization. And the whole idea of this project was to entertain and personalize. So the entertainment comes from the monthly raffles of the physical art. And then the personalization comes in where, you know, just to show my collectors that this isn't a generative piece of artwork. They, you know, they've got their pink soles with a ganja leaf bucket hat or whatever they want, you know, color background, and that then it's personal to them. So yeah, that there is an element of surprise there, but I'm not going to reveal too much about how that will work.
I love that, man. Yeah, these are super cool. So backtracking a little bit, you said you're gonna do a children's ebook. Are there any plans to do like a children's physical book at all?
Yeah, 100%. It would have to be self-published, I think, but I think ebook, it goes with the thing of this is a digital collection at the moment, and I think just the ebook is easier to put out there, and then it's obviously, you know, if there's sort of growth with that, then you know, then having a physical book's super expensive to publish because you need to have, you know, around 10,000 copies, then pay for the shelf space. So it's a huge investment, which the revenue from this first mint wouldn't be able to cover by a fraction. So, you know, eventually I would love to have a physical book. I read my son books, and he's got like these texture ones, you know, so you can have like Remo with the textured skin, and you know, the moon would have like a rocky feeling, and I'd love to have that for children, but yeah, it's just a mega cost. So hopefully, you know, if the project does well and we can pull a hate beast and maybe get some funding or some investment, that would be great to do.
Love it, man. Yeah, I was asking because my kids love the physical books too. Read to them all the time, and they just love books and destroying the books too, like just ripping them to shreds.
I have to tell my wife, I say, don't put the books in his toy box. They're not toys, like, because I don't want to see them get ruined. These things are like relics, you know. And I think fast forward 20 years time, we're barely going to have books on the planet, so let's treasure the ones we have. So yeah, I really would love to do physical books, but again, the cost is quite insane. Self-publishing's a bit safer, but then you have to ask yourself, is there any point? Because I'll only be able to produce 200 copies, you know, for the money that I have, and it would probably bleed me dry as well. So yeah, it's just, if it makes sense, then we will definitely do it.
For sure, man. Definitely. Cool. Yeah, I like the ordinals thing. I've never collected any ordinals at all. I don't even know how to like do a wallet or do any of that stuff. So I think this is one that I would probably do for my first ordinal, because it's cool. I mean, it's one of one art, and I like them. So I like that too, for sure. $21.60. Any questions?
Yeah, no, yeah, just you know, everybody that's in the space can like follow your social media, but what's the best way to get to see your art and to join your community? Maybe even get to see like your in real life art as well.
I mean, my paintings, that's on my Instagram, which I've sort of neglected over the last 2 years whilst being in Web3. I've completely forgotten about my Instagram, which is probably for the best as well. So I'm not doom scrolling on there. I'm now doom scrolling FUD and whatnot over on time. You know, celebrity death match between Web3 influencers, which is entertaining to say the least. But yeah, I think just following my Twitter, my Instagram's there as well. I'm going to be, I've actually released the first episode of my Artist in the Space podcast, which is on my website, just 5-minute sort of takes on art and helping artists sort of navigate the space. So that episode's out. But yeah, just my personal website, my Twitter, and my Instagram is probably the best place to see all of that. I'm actually looking for a spot in Miami at the moment. I'm talking to a guy who runs, part of the team who runs space in Miami, to get a spot there to do a live Remo sort of street art show at Art Basel this year. So hopefully I can find a little pop-up place that isn't too expensive to run a nice little boogie, have a couple of my DJ friends there, and fuse it in with Art Basel, and then also have physical Remo toys on sale there as well. So yeah, hopefully we can do that. London's definitely happening, and then look for a spot in the Middle East, possibly Dubai, through my friend Rom. He runs Street Art News, so we're going to be looking to do a sort of physical art show there as well, where I'll be, spraying up Remo toys and signing them and whatnot with markers. So yeah, it should be quite cool.
Nice. Mika's in Dubai. Are you familiar with Mika?
Yeah. The host, the Spaces host, Mika.
Yeah. Tell her to swing by. Reach out to her. She might stop by if you do an event there. So
yeah, that could be cool.
Yeah, do like a little video or something. Who knows?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a great direction. Like, I love Art Basel in Miami. I've been the last couple of years. You really get a great crowd that is there predominantly for the art or the technology, and I think that's the right audience to kind of introduce that kind of form to, and then being able to do it globally. I mean, not a lot of projects are able to accomplish that, and it sounds like you already have the connections to do so. So that's going to be really cool for your holders to be able to attend those, and for people who don't know anything about a project to run across your art, which I think is awesome as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is just the first sort of chapter in the story, really, and I hope in 12 months' time we can revisit another spaces like this and see sort of how far it's come. But definitely, art shows and galleries is obviously where any artist's dream ends up, and that's always been my dream, is to have my work in a gallery and have my own exhibitions. And if that means, I can give my holders access to those, that'll be incredible. I would really love that.
Yeah, you should link up with OSF. You might be able to help with something like that too. They just did a gallery thing this week in London.
Yeah, those guys are great. I love the artwork, and I love I think I caught some of their work at W1 Galleries in London, in central London. They have like a sort of monthly artist. They had like Beeple there and stuff. So yeah, it's these unit as well in London is an incredible digital. It's actually a digital sort of physical space, and I think that, the more sort of art houses like Sotheby's and Christie's are coming into the space, there's going to be way more digital exhibitions, and they're more like immersive experiences than a gallery. I think the galleries put a lot of people off who could potentially like art, because it's got that sort of connotation of vol au vents and champagne and bougie clothing. So I think digital art is definitely going to open up the accessibility for new artists to come in who aren't necessarily oil painters, and definitely the younger generations, like our kids, they're going to be digital artists. There's no in whatever sort of capacity that may be. But yeah, I really can't wait to see the future of where digital art goes. And I think as long as you're starting now, then you've definitely got a chance to sort of ride the journey.
Absolutely. Yeah. My kid's on Procreate already. She's 5. She's making stuff, and she'll be all digital, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think I think that there's nothing to take away from physical art, and it will always be in existence. I think the people who look at Web3 and they say digital art isn't art, or tokenization has kind of no place in the art world, just doesn't really understand the evolution of like technology itself. So for them it might seem foreign, and for us, like I'm 37 years old. We got stuck in kind of the middle, where kind of this technology internet thing kind of makes sense, but we also lived a very IRL childhood. But for those of us who have kids, they're all growing up digitally native, and so this is just going to be seen as like a really legitimized daily part of their life. And so for that reason, I mean, this whole movement has legs. And like you said, for artists that are interested, like, it might not be the best landscape unless you have really thick skin to enter right now. But if you're thinking long term about your artistic career, and you do have thick skin and you don't put like high expectations to perform really well right off the bat, and you don't invest a lot of sunk costs of your own personal money, I think that getting started now is really smart. Just because I agree, I think that this is the future for a lot of art moving forward.
There's a lot of safer spaces where artists can sort of test the waters as well. You know, I started on Nifty Gateway and Foundation, and I'm yet to sort of apply to Super Rare, but I would love an account with Super Rare. But there's definitely safer spaces. There's two sides to Web3, right? So you've got the heavy art side where nobody uses PFPs or knows what a PFP is. And these are the guys who are selling artwork on Nifty Gateway through custodial wallets, you know, and people can buy, you know, my mum's even supported my work on Nifty Gateway. You can pay in US dollars. You don't even need to put your address in. So it's just pay with a credit card and it's in your wallet. You know, so there's definitely an escape in which I'd encourage all artists to at least try and digitize their work. You don't need to be a digital artist. You know, I started by painting my oil paintings. I then photographed that. The painting as well, and I've still got the paintings here that they could claim, but they never have. You know, so there is an element of you can be a physical artist and a digital artist. I don't like it being either or, you know, and people's view on digital art is you're not a real artist is just ridiculous. It's ludicrous. I think art is art, and it always will continue to grow, and there'll always be two different opinions. But I'm here for it all, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it was ACK did a thread this week, or he had a tweet out saying, you're not an NFT. If you collect digital art, you're not an NFT collector. You're an art collector. Like, art is art, right? It doesn't matter what format it's in. And that's crazy. People didn't want the physical. I mean, I'll take them. You know, like, I love that stuff.
I definitely agree with that sentiment. I think that there is a place, you know, you are an art collector. I think if you enjoy the technology and understand the provenance that the token gives you, and the fact that you're buying a token and not the actual image itself, like, I think there's a place to be both an art collector and an NFT collector. From a physical standpoint, I will say this: I collect a lot of photography. And I have so many tubes of prints in my closet that will never be framed or matted behind glass and hung up on my walls. I just have too many of them. So I do understand this kind of dynamic between digital art and physical art, and kind of the challenges that come with displaying both of them. Physical art, you have space constraints, right? Or your kids want to play with something that's very valuable because it looks like a toy, but it's not. And then digital art on the other side, I have hundreds of photography that I just can't display. Like I even have metaverse museums that I put the art in, but I only go there every once in a while. So I definitely understand kind of the dynamic of both. There's pluses and minuses. But yeah, I think from an art perspective, I liked what you said earlier when you said, like, you know, artists are kind of born. It's always kind of in them, and it doesn't matter which medium they choose to produce in, and they shouldn't be siloed to produce in just one. I know a lot of artists in the NFT space that they get typecast as this is what they are this digital artist, and nobody looks at the physical art that they create or the different mediums that they work in. So I like that messaging as well. You know, as an artist, you have the freedom to work in any medium and express yourself in any medium. And you shouldn't be classified as only a digital artist or a physical artist.
I totally agree, and you know, as an artist, you know, I'm not just an oil painter or digital artist. I love to write poetry. I play the guitar. I love to sing. Like, you're born an artist, and an artist is never ever going to be pigeonholed and silenced into one medium or genre of art. You know, so I think being multifaceted is the best tool an artist can have. You know, I studied acting in New York for years, and that taught me that you can be anybody you want. You know, it was never to become a famous actor. It was to study the form of being a multifaceted human. That was my reasoning to study acting, and it's gone into everything. You know, you pick up any skill. You know, I taught myself Ableton. I've got an EP on Spotify under, you know, for house music producing. You know, I do poetry nights with my friend, you know, in Peckham in London. And it's just exercising every ability to express. And that's what an artist is put on this earth to do, is express themselves however they feel. And that's what makes art beautiful, is when it's got the raw emotion of a human behind it. So, you know, with like the recent Ordinals collections, it's really hard to not be frustrated that there's no love put into the artwork. It's just hashed out, regurgitated pixels from Fiverr, you know, and they're being sold or labeled as art. It's like, I wouldn't mind if the artist was actually spotlighted. There's no shame in using a Fiverr artist. Why not just put that artist on the pedestal and say, this is who we based it around? You know, and I think that sort of stealing of self-expression is sort of prevalent in the space. And I kind of want to put that fire out and highlight real creators and artists in the space.
Yeah, that's it's a tough line to tread when looking at artists and things they're creating. I mean, if you look at almost any art, you could say that the artist is inspired by someone, right? So it's, I don't know. I think if an artist is making art and they're doing it for the right reasons, like, and not just some cash grab where they're just, you know, just cranking out supply just to make money, but they're actually making art because they're creative people who want to make something cool. I say go for it. Like, even if you're borrowing from other artists, I mean, if you're copying them exactly, you definitely need to to cite your sources at least. But
I mean, Tarantino said that he steals from every movie ever made.
Yep.
You know, but he does it in his own way. You don't just do it like for like, pixel for pixel. You can be inspired by it. Everything I do is by inspiration. Like at the lookbooks of Ronnie Feig from Kith and putting that into my work. I don't put it as a Kith jacket with the same pocket and the zip, and you know, but you take it, the look. I'd never invented the look, you know, and it's like when you're in university, you write an essay and you have to write a bibliography and reference writers who you may have thought you had a unique thought, but you didn't. There's been countless other, you know, thought leaders who've had that thought. They've just worded it differently. And just because you feel you've had a unique thought, there's definitely going to be one, two, if not several other people who've had that thought. So I think an artist is their job to express it in a way that suits them, and that's art to me. You know, it's how did that piece of art make you feel, and now you express it in your way. And that's what inspiration is, because there's inspiration, then there's just outright sort of copying, which I'm not really down with.
Same. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, man. Well, I think you want to get to the scoring burn?
Let's do it. You want to go first?
Yeah, man, I will go first. I'm actually really, really hyped about this. I love kind of artists who come out with ambitious projects. I don't know if you know who Justin Mahler is, but he's been working on a project for 2 years where he does basically a custom one-of-one 3D rendering every single day. And there's a lot of different dynamics around it. You can burn the one-of-one to create 10 editions, and you can sell those 10 editions to anybody you want. There's point systems associated with it. And at the end there is kind of leaderboards and things that you can win. So there's different layers. And I really appreciate artists who go out to kind of take on these intense kind of one-of-one challenges to produce really, really great art for their communities. And so this project kind of reminds me of that. And I love kind of the different facets of it, the Bitcoin ordinals piece, the physical piece, the in real life events that you have planned, and the future kind of merchandising around it. So a lot of it seems to be really well thought out. And from what I can see already, a lot of it is really well executed at a very, very high level. So I'm going to give it the highest score that I've had on the show. I'm going to give it a solid 9, because I love kind of this small, create a community around art and do what you know, while also exploring every medium you can in a really quality way. This to me seems like a really solid project, and I'm glad that we got to introduce this to the community that we have here on the show.
Oof, it's a 9 from 2160, all-time high score. And And I agree with everything you said. I love the way that you built out an organic community. It's a smaller supply. Everything's a one of one that you're hand creating, which even with a lot of other projects, even with smaller supplies, art projects, they're usually generative, right? If you're doing like 500. So it's really impressive that you're creating this many one-on-ones. You've got a small, strong community, which I mean, that's how you're building long-term holders of your art that are here for your art. So I like that. I like the fact that you've got plans to expand in the future. Not that like, not like as an art collector, that doesn't matter as much, right? Like cool, do plushies and stuff. I love it, but really, I would collect it for the art. Um, and I like the fact you're doing ordinals as well, right? So a little diversification there. So, and they're really cool. I mean, I looked through a bunch of them on your Twitter. Really cool. So I'm gonna rate it a. My highest score ever was I gave Rug Radio a 10, but I'm gonna give this like I'm gonna give it a 9.1. I'm gonna one up 2160 by a little bit, but I like the project, man. I like the art. I think you're doing it for the right reasons. It's not a cash grab type of deal. You got a strong community. I can tell just by looking at your Twitter, like you got a strong organic community, which building that in a bear market is impressive to say the least. So, dude, good job. And I can tell you worked your ass off on this, and you are working your ass off. I mean, it's an insane amount of work, and I think that should be rewarded. So I'm going to give you 9.1.
No, I appreciate you both, man. That's some really incredible feedback. You know, I did the ape tank yesterday, and just getting feedback from people who not only know the space, but they're also building in the space as well. It's really nice. You know, you've obviously got your community, you've got your back, and you've got your friends who are going to tell you it's good. So to get objective, really unbiased people from opinions from people who don't know anything about me other than the projects I've put out is really flattering. So thank you so much, guys, for the feedback. I truly appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you for coming on and sharing about the project. I've got people from the Rec Guy community in the YouTube comments here. Ben's like, here's my wallet address. Put me on the list. Ben, I think it's too late. I'm sorry, man. But
I think the rate at which we're going, we've been open for the list now for an hour. It's done sort of 25% of the set of the supply. We didn't over allocate, and I wasn't expecting to sell out on the first list. I just didn't want to over allocate in case we did, and then it isn't technically guaranteed, which I know a lot of projects do. So there's high chances it will go to public opens in 2.5 hours. So it's a high chance it will go to public, by which time hopefully you'll be able to get your hands on one. So yeah, I'd love to welcome more collectors from your show into the community to collect some art, and hopefully I can come back on, guys, and we can shoot it again sometime soon.
Let's do it for sure. 2160, you're muted.
I said I really appreciate you turning Burn into an Alien fan. We have this constant struggle where he picks his victory hoodie over my Alien all the time. So another project showing him that aliens are the way may just be the push that I need to finally show him that he's wrong. So
I feel like aliens. I mean, I've got a bunch of Alien Queen like tabs and like aliens and stuff. Aliens are cool. They're just not as cool.
Yeah,
as
you don't just have to say that, Burn, because I'm here. If you don't like aliens,
I do. I think they're the second best trait in Rex Guy.
I could have got a 10 if it wasn't an alien. Yeah.
If they all had victory on their chest, you would have gotten a 10.
If it was a derivative ape, I would have got 10.
Oh God. If it was a derivative ape, you wouldn't be on the show.
That's probably factual. All right, man. Well, it was really, really cool. I think bringing you back on the show later on, once this project has progressed a little bit, is a must because, like I said, both of us really kind of enjoy the direction that you're taking this, and we both wish you a lot of success and hope we can get our hands on some of your art as well.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. I'll hit you in the DM about the airdrop. Just for in return, for, you'd definitely be deemed as a marketing partner in my book, and I'm sure my community would agree. But as long as they're all happy with them being airdropped to the right people, I'm sure we can work that out. So I'll hit you in the DMs.
Can't wait to floor it. No, I'm just kidding. It'll go in the vault, man. That's awesome. You're a legend. Like, you don't have to do that. I'm happy to pay for it too. Like, I'll send you the ETH. So
yeah, we'll figure it out. It's fine. But yeah, thank you so much for having me on, guys. I'm going to get back into Discord now. I've got a launch party space is starting in 30 minutes to hydrate and have a bit of a sweet tooth craving. But it's been really great being on here, guys, and thank you for inviting me on. And thank you to all the listeners for showing up as well. I love you all.
Yeah, absolutely. Good luck tonight. I'm sure it'll be a late night, but thanks for coming on the show. With that,
go check down this fish and chips. I'll play us out.
Man. Thanks, guys.
The 2160. How about you model that Rat Guy hoodie while I play us out?
Oh, it's beautiful, right? It's beautiful.
Dude, that is fire. I wish I would have got one. I'm waiting on my RLD stuff though.
Dude, so much merch is ridiculous. I think I got 3 of everything, if not 4. I don't even remember. Because I bought them from myself and my wife, but I'm like in between sizes. So I bought like extra larges and larges for me, and then like a medium for my wife. So it's ridiculous. I could be my own wrecked guy RLD merch store if I needed to.
That's awesome.